gummy bear.
What is that? Hang on, I got something playing in my ears, and it's bothering me. Where's this music coming from? I'm gonna start over, everybody. Hang on.
Where's the music?
Hello. Hang on. Actually, I can fix this. It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. June 15th, 2023 for the next hour or so. Is that coming through the thing? No, it's not. You guys can't hear that. Only I can hear it. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Kojima has added the biggest piece to his collection of celebrities. PS5 gets a useful new feature and more. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you doing?
I'm feeling great. A solid 67%.
Ooh, yeah, you're getting up there. Woo, almost
there
nice.
Go.
We're real close.
We're almost nice.
I'm like, hey, we haven't had like a real weekend in a very long time. So I'm looking forward, like I'm eyeing Friday evening. I'm going to take it so easy, so hard. It's going to be real good.
Ooh.
I got some yerba mate from Whole Foods. It just arrived this morning. And
there we go.
Yeah, I think I got to be careful with it because apparently like just having loose leaf yerba mate could be dangerous if you have too much of it, like over a long period of time. But maybe as a treat every once in a while.
Yeah, you ease into it. The thing is, like, it keeps you going throughout the day. That's why you can just use the same leaves, just use the same hot water.
Exactly. That's right. You just keep pouring hot water. Yeah, it's so powerful. I can just probably reuse those leaves forever.
My favorite thing is like I was grabbing a Red Bull from the green room fridge, and then the Argentinians stopped me, and then they were like, "Jan, no, this instead." I'm like, well. I know, Scout. A group of 3 Argentinian men approaching me and telling me to stop doing something. I'm gonna stop doing that.
Yes,
thing.
that's a sign from God. You have to obey. The universe is trying to help you out there. The Argentinian stopped me is our motto over here at Giant Bomb. I'm mostly kind of getting back to normal. I mean, like I said, looking forward to not doing anything for a couple of days, but we've been taking it easy over here at Giant Bomb since we've gotten back from our travels and travails. I don't know. Have you had time to play any video games?
Not at all.
Yeah, I played an hour of Tears of the Kingdom last night. I'm like, man, this game's still so good. It's still so good. I guess, real quick, I didn't have this in the rundown. I can talk about Armored Core now. I'll just mention I saw that and it looks real good. It looks real good. It's got, I mean, everyone's probably heard it now, but that verticality is really impressive. I think the art continues to be like the real star because From Software's artists are the best in the world. And pairing that up with like mech aesthetics is real nice. And then just the way everything looks like it moves. The game has those Sekiro. I'll say Sekiro elements. Yeah, it's like Soulsborne stuff. It's Sekiro where, you press up on the D-pad to use one of your Estus flasks, essentially, and you have 3 of them when you start. And there's a stagger meter on the enemies and on yourself. You can lock on something that's kind of new to this series, things like that. I see the table stakes of being a From Software game in 2023, but really, obviously, this is still just an Armored Core game, and the way that mech was moving around, where it was like jetting forward, and then it would go to strafe, and it wasn't like a smooth motion. It was like, no, the jets are now pointing that way, so it's going to fly to the right as fast as possible. It looks really cool. I'm pretty excited about it as someone who hasn't played a lot of Armored Core before, so we'll see more, and I think there was like whispers there that they'll try to do a hands-on thing at some point in the future, so people will be able to actually tell you what they feel about playing it. That won't be for probably a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. Well, the game's out in a couple of months, so maybe between now and then, probably.
Oh boy.
Okay, let me do this intro and then we'll get started, everybody. Let's explain what we do here most weekdays. I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Nicolas Cage visits Hideo Kojima and leaves a very nice note. This comes from Eddie Waku at GameSpot. Oscar-winning actor Nicolas Cage has met up with legendary game designer Hideo Kojima to tour his studio, and the actor left a nice note. Kojima shared photos of himself and Cage, who was sporting a very slick jacket and sunglasses, posing next to a Luden statue at the Kojima Productions office. In another series of photos, we could see that the National Treasure star left Kojima and his team a note. It said, "To Hideo and the team, thank you for an incredible tour." And that's right. Of course, he's the star of National Treasure. People are speculating that Cage could appear in a future game from Kojima Productions, but nothing is confirmed at this stage. For what it's worth, the original Death Stranding featured a long list of actors and celebrities in cameo roles, including Conan O'Brien, Edgar Wright, Jordan Vogt Roberts, Sam Lake, and Jeff Keighley. I think Nicolas Cage would be someone who would be interested in having himself digitally preserved forever. What do you think?
Yes. Oh, hardcore, 100%. I feel like Nicolas Cage doesn't know the full graphic fidelity that is available for video games right now.
Yes.
So he must have thought he was like seeing a hologram or something.
Yes, for real. He's like, with this thing, that is just me. He obviously was at Summer Game Fest talking about being in the Dead by Dawn by Daylight. Yes, there we go. One of those is right. And he met and hung out with Jeff Keighley, and that is as Alex Navarro on Twitter said, the Keighley to Kojima pipeline is still very strong. Clearly, that just led to this. It's like Keighley is out there being his recruiter, like his religious recruiter, and like, come join our cult. So yes, yeah, that's a lot of fun. I hope we see Nicolas Cage in like Death Stranding 2. That would make my day. That's exactly what I want.
Yes. Someone please mod that somehow now.
Yeah, just make it happen now. Don't even have us wait. Yeah, just digital stuntman from the National Treasure movies. I'm sure you could rip that from like the Blu-ray or something. Make it happen. All right, moving on. Sony says not releasing its first-party games on PS Plus on day one is working. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Sony Interactive Entertainment still has no plans to put its first-party games on PlayStation Plus on the day of release, according to a key executive. In an interview with GamesIndustry.biz, Vice President and Global Head of Subscriptions, Nick McGuire, said that the company has no interest in making all its first-party games on day one available on day one like Microsoft does with Xbox Game Pass. "We're happy with our strategy," McGuire said. "Putting games in a bit later in the life cycle has meant that we can reach more customers 12, 18, 24 months after they have released. We're seeing customers still get excited about those games and jumping in. For us, that's working." I still get no sign that this is going to change anytime soon. Shuhei Yoshida was asked eventually hey, is that going to change? And he was like, no. I mean, maybe we're always looking at different things, but pretty much no. I don't know. I get the sense it's not going to change before the end of this generation. What do you think, Jan?
No, I think Sony has done a lot of coping and released a lot of statements saying like, no, everything that we're talking about and all of our strategies, they're all working. Everything's good here at Sony. So I don't see them reversing that anytime soon because they've just doubled and tripled down so hard. Yep,
and it's all, as far as they're concerned, all paid off. I mean, obviously they're thinking, well, we can always make more money, but I think they are looking at the strategy and we think we are maximizing our return on investment in all these ways by having these windowed releases and changing things up could mess things up, and we're making a ton of money. So why would we do that? But yes, Shuhei Yoshida said we are constantly working out what the right strategy is moving forward. How are player habits going to evolve, and how do we make sure the services meet those future habits? There's no more I could say on that at the moment, but obviously we are keeping close to it and thinking about the role that Plus can play moving forward. Speaking of that, the next story is PS5 game streaming is coming. This comes from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. For the first time, Sony has announced that it will begin publicly testing PlayStation 5 game streaming. The company announced in a blog post that titles from the PlayStation Plus catalog and select trials, as well as some PS5 games that people already own, will be available to stream over the cloud. That's interesting because the Xbox doesn't even have those features yet. I want to play NHL on my Steam Deck. I could just stream that from my Xbox, but I'm that's not on Game Pass, so it's just I have to own it, or I own it, but they haven't turned on the ability to stream the games that you own yet. Something they promised to deliver eventually, but they haven't done yet. This feature is coming at some point in the future for all PS Plus premium members, but a specific date was not announced, nor did Sony announce what games will be supported. Sony said the aim here is to make it easier for players to jump into games as no local download is required. The company went on to say that it wants to add streaming support for as many games as possible, but only a limited selection will be available at the start. This is a useful thing. I have done this on Xbox a couple times with the games that are available for streaming, where I just want to try it, so I start streaming it. And that's pretty handy. And that's what on the couch, Phil Spencer's like, that's how most people use the cloud anyhow. And I think it's probably the best use case for it right now, especially for those game trials. But yeah, having native PS5 games streaming, is that going to like move the needle for you at all?
I can't say that it will, honestly. No, I just don't. I don't think I'm the target audience for this PS5 game streaming. But I do like the implications of using it as like a trial system before fully committing to a download. I know there are parts of the country where internet speeds are still pretty bad. So being able to stream it, then again, your internet speeds being bad may not add to that. But hey, being able to try and stream something before fully committing to like a 60 gig download would be nice for a lot of folks. Maybe not if you're already in the COD pipeline, because then you're already you're dragging your PS5 to the local Starbucks and just setting up shop out there and using their internet.
Do you think there's any chance that they are maybe being a bit more aggressive with the timeline on this stuff to make the cloud competition seem more important to regulators in like the UK and stuff like that, to like prove the market there as part of their fight against Microsoft and the acquisition of Activision?
I didn't think that would be a motivator, but that does make sense in Sony trying to attempt to stir up anything against Microsoft. Now Jim Ryan's yelling about clouds, so we've almost gone full circle about an old man yelling at the sky.
It's possible, I think, but it's also it seems a bit late to make any change or make any difference to the regulators at this point. But maybe it feels like the kind of thing where they like could have started and like we can't promise that publicly yet, even though it would help our case. And now we're here, and it's a little bit behind the ball. But I guess that FTC thing is happening very soon, where they are going to try to argue before a judge, like a final verdict in the case between the FTC and Microsoft. And maybe Sony's like, get it out in time for that. Maybe that can help. And maybe
this is going to
tinfoil over here.
This is going to be such an interesting time to, maybe like 2-3 years removed from this, once the dust finally settles. It's going to be such an interesting case for like law students to try and examine, of like antitrust stuff, FTC stuff, and like how to big companies trying to monopolize like one specific industry other than the entertainment industry.
Yep. I think that this is it's gonna be like, why did this one work when there seemed to be so much momentum against it? At least, we're assuming it's going to work again. It just seems like that's the way it's going. However it ends up playing out, there's going to be a ton of like stuff for like educational materials for these kinds of cases going forward. And yeah, in terms of dealing with public perception of a $69 billion deal that's so huge, you would just think it would be so easy to quash, and it wasn't. Quash. I think either one. Yeah. So I think you're right that this is going to be something that is going to be like in textbooks going forward. All right, so let's see here. The next story: Dead Island 2 reveals 2 major expansions. This comes from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. Dead Island 2 has been a huge success for Deep Silver and Dambuster Studios, so it stands to reason that they'd want to get more content out of the game. Now a roadmap for Dead Island 2 has been unveiled on the game's official site, with some small synopsis to give us a general sense of the premise behind each DLC. The first expansion, entitled House, is set to release in Q4 2023. It has the tagline, "How does a billionaire prepare for the zombie-apocalypse? A techno-death cult with a healthy splash of debauchery and gore." Solo Festival is the next DLC, launching in Q2 2024. "Welcome to the Solo Festival," its description reads, "where LA's party people can greenwash their way to ecstasy and save the planet one rave at a time. If you've got the expansion pass, you already get this content when it drops." I think both those have the tone I want from a Dead Island expansion, and I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna like. I didn't beat Dead Island 2 originally. I don't know if I'm the target for more content, but I bet there's a lot of people out there who are like, this is their game, and they're going to be ready for this stuff. And it's nice that it's getting support for a game that's been such a surprise success.
Yeah, again, it was when we played it, I had a lot of fun playing it with you guys. I don't think I actually got to play it with you guys because it's 3 players max.
That's right.
But gearing up to it, it was surprisingly a lot of fun. I kind of had like the stink of Dead Island 2 taking forever. But hearing the premise of both of those DLC chapters, I'd let both of those people die.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to defend a billionaire. I'm not going to defend like someone high out of their mind at a rave.
Well, yes, maybe trying to greenwash things. Yeah, I bet that for both of these pieces of DLC, you probably end up killing the people responsible for these things. It would be my guess. So, yeah, I guess we'll see. But yeah, I know Dead Island 2, a surprisingly good game, surprisingly strong game in a year of just nonstop amazing games. So, like it's even more impressive that this game is standing out at all and kind of standing on its own. It filled a particular niche that not everything else was going for in terms of open world and still doing zombie stuff, something that a lot of people really like, but a lot of people are also really tired of. So offering that stuff up to that audience that's still there for it seems like a good move, and it paid off.
Yeah, perhaps I'm gonna say front runner for B Game of the Year.
Hang on, my kids are yelling at me. Oh yeah.
I know, children. I know. Don't worry.
Okay, let's go here. June's PlayStation Plus game catalog titles have been confirmed. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced some games coming to the PlayStation Plus catalog in June 2023. Unlike June's PlayStation Plus Essential games, which are available for all subscribers to claim, game catalog's downloadable PS4 and PS5 titles are only available for extra and premium tier members. The following games will be added to PlayStation Plus game catalog next week. Again, these were the ones available for both of those tiers. Inscription, Far Cry 6, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, Rogue Legacy 2, Solstice, Tacoma, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, Killing Floor 2, Lonely Mountains Downhill, I love that, Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York, 100 Days Winemaking Simulator, A Hat in Time, Carto, Forager, Dodgeball Academia, The Wild at Heart, Redout 2, Thief, MX vs. ATV Legends, Paw Patrol Mighty Pups Save Adventure Bay, My Friend Peppa Pig, DC League of Super Pets, The Adventures of Crypto and Ace, The Talos Principle Deluxe Edition, Elix 2, and then for premium subscribers, we have some of those classic games, and this is just that top tier. Killzone Liberation for PSP, Worms for PS1, and Herc's Adventure for PS1. So, once again, that middle tier seems like the place to be. That's a lot of games on there. Even those family games, having stuff for the kids to play without having to pay extra for it is always really, really nice.
That's very smart to throw in Peppa Pig and then the cop puppies.
Yes, the cop dogs. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, most things stick out. I mean, Rogue Legacy 2, people might have slept on that one a little bit. Now there you go. Far Cry 6 is a big game, even though not everyone loves it. It's still like that's a lot of content at the very least.
Inscription is great. That TMNT game is really good. Folks should really check out Dodgeball Academia.
Yeah,
Tam put it on my radar years ago, but it's good.
Yeah,
more dodgeball games, please.
For real, I like that. And sports RPG games. So I'm down with all that.
Yeah,
that's good stuff. Sonic Mania dev confirms Superstars translates retro engine physics into 3D. And I'll explain what that means. This comes from Alana Higgs at Nintendo Life. If you weren't already excited for Sonic Superstars, the brand new 2D Sonic game announced at last week's Summer Game Fest, then this news should get you rushing for those red sneakers. Christian Whitehead, the lead developer on Sonic Mania, has confirmed that the physics of Headcanon's 2017 retro hit has been fully translated to modern 3D in response to comparisons of the physics of the classic Sonic games to Superstars physics. This means that the retro engine used in Mania, the 2011 Sonic CD port, the mobile version of Sonic the Hedgehog, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and in Origins, is being used for Superstars. Fans had already deduced that similarities were basically there, with Twitter user Classic Sonic Deconstructed putting some pretty remarkable side-by-sides together. Artist and VFX editor Lapper Dev retweeted one of those comparisons, which is where Whitehead replied, here's his response. We will have more to say on this when it's appropriate, but the Mania physics were indeed fully translated to modern 3D. And if you look at this, and I'll see if I can bring this up here in a second so people can see, it really does look like Sonic moves exactly the way he moves in Sonic Mania, which is probably, I think, what most fans are going to want. I'll say when we played it, me and Dan played it, it felt right. It felt like a Sonic game. And again, that's not necessarily for me, but it's exactly kind of the Sonic game I remembered playing. So it's like the complaints aren't, they're pulling this off wrong. It actually moves exactly like one of those games. It's just now Sonic is a 3D character model in a 2D plane instead of being sprites, and it works really well. Is that exciting for you at all, Jan?
Yeah, I like the prospect of them making a game and just calling it Sonic Mania 3D.
Yeah, that sounds
entertaining. And yeah, Sonic Mania, it hooked a lot of people back and got some people back on the Sonic train. I'm sorry for them that it did. But I am a fan of trying to make good Sonic games.
Yes, and I think like Christian Whitehead is exactly the right person to lean on if you have that tech available. I think I would have been happier if they just had used that headcanon team with Christian Whitehead to make the next 2D Sonic. But they're working with Arzest, which is a work for hire studio. They did some of the new Yoshi's Island games for handheld before. They've also done did Balan Wonderworld, but they're as good as like the resources that they're given. And if you have these resources sitting around and making them available for them, it seems like it's really working out.
I am still a strong proponent that I believe the Sonic Advance 2 is one of the best Sonic games that gets slept on. But maybe that's because I'm a child.
Well, I think that people really like those games. It was always any sort of platformer on the Game Boy or Game Boy Advance was always so zoomed in that I was like, I need more vision so I can actually see where I'm going. I'm an old man.
Let me tell you, Grubb, the Sonic game that came out on the DS, you'd go on both screens.
That's right. I need a tall screen. Give me that tall Sonic. That's what I need. Tall, weird Sonic. Dead Cells animated series set to premiere in 2024. Let's see here. From David Walensky at GameSpot. Motion Twin, the developer behind the indie game Dead Cells, has announced the production of an animated series based on the game. The series, scheduled for release in 2024, will be created by the French studio Bobby Pills, known for the work on the Dead Cells animated trailers. The animated series will, according to a synopsis, take place on a cursed island that has been racked by a strange plague. After the island's foolish king develops a remedy that ends up turning the population into monstrous creatures, prophecies depicting a flame-headed hero who will kill the crazy king begin to appear. As it so happens, this beheaded hero is real, but saving the kingdom isn't on his schedule, and he just wants to be left alone. Well, guess who isn't going to be left alone? This is co-produced by Animation Digital Network, a French anime streaming service. The Dead Cells animated series will consist of 10 episodes, each approximately 7 minutes long. Initially, the series will be exclusively available in France before its global release. This sounds amazing to me. I'm down for something like this. Jan, how about you?
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at Bobby Pills's catalog of their previous works. They're also working on Captain Laserhawk.
That's right.
What's it called?
The Blood Dragon. The Blood Dragon anime cartoon from Adi Shankar and Ubisoft and all that stuff that we saw at the Ubisoft event.
Yeah, I'm down. I don't know what a Dead Cells cartoon or anime would look like. Do you voice the dude? Does he have a voice at all? Yeah, I'm down
because he does a lot of expressions in the game, right? Shrugging and shaking his head and things like that. They could probably pull that off. I think anime and animation is something where you can actually have a silent protagonist, but I bet they give him a sassitude. I bet he's a sassy attitude having guy.
Or they give him a Jiminy Cricket and let Jiminy Cricket talk.
They give him a sidekick, just actual Jiminy Cricket, and Jiminy Cricket is gonna swear. I want to cussing Jiminy Cricket. Yeah, there we go. I think obviously this is part of a trend. We're seeing more and more of these anime series and animations and movies and TV shows. I'm more excited for this than Twisted Metal. I'll say that, Jan.
Oh boy. Oh, I forgot we saw that trailer.
Yeah, we had to nuke it from space from our video because of NBC Universal blocking our video worldwide. I remember trying to get a screenshot that we were doing from that show we did that day and be like, oh, it's just not on YouTube at all anymore because of NBC Universal. So fun, but that show looks real rough. And even then, it's like that's still kind of creating buzz for Twisted Metal, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but what's the conversion gonna happen?
I don't.
Like
you're
where
right.
are they
I
gonna
don't
go
know.
to?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, obviously, the benefit is when you have a really good one of these shows. And The Last of Us and The Witcher, which good to great. I don't know. I haven't watched either of those shows, but I've heard mixed things between like good to great for those things. And both those games got huge boosts following those shows. Dead Cells is a game that is massively successful, a huge successful game in terms for an indie game. Maybe not as quite as successful as Hades, but like in that range. And it's something that like on mobile, it's like had I don't know, probably 1 million downloads, something like that, which is really impressive as well. And so I don't know if it's already out there in all these places, and putting a show out, letting people get excited about it again, maybe reaching a new audience, that could really work for Dead Cells and kind of carry it forward. I'm interested to see if that's something they're able to pull off.
Screw it. Throw Dead Cells on Netflix.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yeah. They have the games playing service on there. I wouldn't be surprised if they have both the show and the game. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I want a Hades show. That's what I really want. That would be too sexy, maybe, actually. Society couldn't stand for it.
It would not.
All right. Suda51's Shadow of the Damned remaster is probably coming to all current platforms. After much hype and even some technical hiccups, Grasshopper Manufacture was finally able to air its special direct presentation today. Following a reveal of Shadows of the Damned, it's now teased that the game will probably be coming to all current platforms. Well, this is open to interpretation. Last week, Goichi Suda51, God, the name's in there twice, commented on social media about how fans would probably be able to play it in handheld as well. The Switch is also technically a current generation system, so hopefully it means it is part of Grasshopper's release plans. Suda51 said, we're going to be releasing Shadows of the Damned Remastered. You could play it handheld too, probably. Shadow of the Damned was originally released on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2011. It invited players to take on the role of the demon hunter Garcia, who embarks on an action-packed adventure to save his true love. Here's a bit about his backstory and what this game has to offer. Originally released in June 2011, Shadows of the Damned invited gamers to assume the role of Garcia as a hard-as-nails, leather-clad, motorcycle-riding, professional demon hunter who finds his true love kidnapped by a vengeful-seeking demon. As he explores the furthest reaches of the netherworld, Garcia battles through hell and back. This is a game I played a little bit when it came out, and now I'm like back in the mood for it, so I'm glad it's happening. I bet it does come to the Switch as well, but it seems like it'll at least come to everywhere else, and then maybe the Switch. Did you ever play Shadows of the Damned?
I played a little bit of it, and I enjoyed it. It just wasn't something that I stuck with. I think Suda51 is the person, is the developer Nicolas Cage should actually be friends with.
Yes, I agree. I think that's listen, Kojima. You're just one piece of many for Kojima in his collection. Like you got to stand next to Nicholas Rending Winfig or whatever his name is, the director of Drive. You don't want that. You want to stand out and be special. And Suda51 would treat you special, Nick Cage.
Oh yeah, they emit the same vibes.
Yes, they absolutely do. That would be like a very powerful thing. I think a Nick Cage game, like starring in something from Suda51, could change the world. That could it could be equivalent to Mike eating a Jollibee fruit pie. Could solve racism.
Yes. We know we should do it, but maybe it won't happen.
Maybe it's just too powerful and too scary for it to actually happen. Let's see. Yeah, he also Suda51 kind of teased their next game. Because this is like their direct that they had, the Grasshopper Direct 2023. There's not much here, but it's like Electric Thunder Tiger 14. I don't know. He kind of does this whole thing where it's like, this is our game right there. Is that okay if people could see it? And it's kind of, he's happening right there. It's hard to tell. He blurs some of it, and then they just show the UX or the menus, and it looks stylized and stylish and cool. But there's not much to go on. But hey, I guess Suda51's making a new game, and it'll be coming at some point. What do you want from a Suda51, Jan?
I don't. That's the thing. I don't know what I want from Suda51. I want him to tell me what I want.
Yeah, just come completely out of left field, right?
Yeah. Like, give me a game that is like Pickleball enthusiast in space.
Ooh, that looks like that's what they're making, maybe.
Yeah, I'm squinting my eyes there at that screen. Yeah. But it's also like you're mushroom foraging.
Yeah, right? Yes.
For the devil.
Okay. Okay, so pickleball, RPG in space, and you're foraging for mushrooms for the devil. That's honestly, none of that seems far-fetched for Suda51. All of that sounds really right.
If anyone can do it, he can.
To describe a little bit of what was on the screen for audio listeners, it does look like a 3D world. There is a mini map on the bottom left. There's a huge like meter on the bottom, and then some sort of like radar or sensor on the bottom right. Yeah, it looks like a video game, and that's all I got. Like that's all. It's really hard to tell from this stuff, but hey, Suda51's working on more stuff.
Reports say it looks like a video game.
Yes, reports are accurate, I believe. Square Enix appears to have accidentally leaked a Star Ocean: The Second Story remake. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. That's right. Square Enix appears to have uploaded an image for an as-yet unannounced remake of Star Ocean: The Second Story. As reported by RPG Site, a banner found on the Square Enix support website appears to show a logo for a game called Star Ocean: The Second Story R. While VGC won't host the image, at the time of writing, it could still be found stored on Square Enix's own support site. In 2019, a remake of the first Star Ocean was released for Switch and PS4 under the name Star Ocean First Departure R. A logo for Star Ocean: The Second Story R then certainly appears to suggest that a remake of the second game is in development. The Star Ocean: The Second Story was developed by Tri-Ace and published in Japan by Enix in 1998. The company didn't merge with Square until 2003. Sony then released it in North America in 1999 and Europe in 2000. This seems likely. This is like one where like Star Ocean, that first remake came and went, but I think people who are into Star Ocean were pretty happy with it. And this fits with Square Enix's recent strategy of let's remaster and upgrade a lot of these older games and just put them back out and put them on places like the Switch and elsewhere and continue to capitalize on this library of games we have. This isn't too surprising, right?
It seems like a no-brainer. I never personally got into the Star Ocean series. That was too deep into the JRPG perversion hole that I was not willing to go as a youth. But I know that there's a sizable audience out there. But again, yeah, complete no-brainer for Square to just hand off an old game to a studio. It's like, hey, just make this look pretty again. Just improve the font, please. And then folks will eat it up.
Yes, I think so. This is also, I think, one that is not on the NVIDIA leak list, which I think we might go over here in a second, maybe just kind of catch up on that again. Because now that like we're past Summer Game Fest and I thought we'd hear about some of these, we still haven't heard about all of them. But like, yeah, you know, let's hit it right now. I got Square Enix right here. Like the NVIDIA list had Chrono Cross Remaster. We got that. We also got Final Fantasy VII Remake. Kingdom Hearts 4 was announced. I'm sorry to me, happy to you. Starfield Chronicles was part of this. The Tactics Ogre Remaster was in there. Voice of Cards, The Forsaken Maiden, everyone's favorite card game. Oh, lost Jan?
I'm still here.
Okay, just lost your camera. That was confirmed. Things that we're still waiting to hear on for sure, I think, are the Tomb Raider 25th Anniversary, Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster, and Final Fantasy IX Remake. Again, Final Fantasy IX Remake is something that is definitely real, something I heard about. But yeah, there was no mention of Star Ocean in there. And they're continuing to make some of those remakes that are even aren't on this list.
They're keeping Tactics from me. They know that I want it so bad.
You're not alone. It's like I think that's the one that I played a ton of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. That was my game, and I played that before ever playing Final Fantasy Tactics. And so now having a chance to like get the remastered and hopefully edited version. Like I know people love the story. I'm not saying change the story at all, but make sure that like it's presented in the best way possible and that I can get into the action as quickly as possible while enjoying the story. I would really appreciate that and really like the chance to make that happen. It's a remaster, not a remake, but I think that's probably all that game needs. The way that people talk about it. There's also
I would be so upset in a good way ever seeing those kids and their crystals again. Open the game with a snowball fight, baby. Just do it.
Yep, that's the thing I definitely remember the most about whenever I would try that game is that snowball fight. What a good tutorial, a good way to learn mechanics in a game. And there's like a lot of like momentum behind tactics right now in terms of people being excited about that universe because Ivalice is a big inspiration, and it may be like one of the settings of Final Fantasy 16. I'm an idiot and don't know, but it's definitely from that team that like made all those Ivalice games, and so I think like kind of putting this out around that time to capitalize on Final Fantasy 16, it's a really good idea.
I agree. I knew that Emma was a great person when she also freaked out about the possibility of tactics.
Yes. Yeah, it's always fun when you see someone else that like pops for the same games as you. It's like, oh yeah, okay, we can have a history here. We can have stuff to talk about. Final Fantasy IX remake
were so cool on their freaking chocobos, Grubb.
Yeah, the judges mechanics also like one of those things. Whenever I play a tactics game, I'm like, man, I wish this had that like the judges to come in here and give rules so that I had to play different each time. There's so many good ideas in Final Fantasy Tactics that hasn't been replicated elsewhere. It's like, yeah, it really makes me want to go back to remaster, and hopefully this year. I don't know. So I mean, just like talking about Final Fantasy, like Final Fantasy 16 is upon us. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth is kind of has a soft date of early next year. Do you think that we get either 9 remake or Tactics remaster between now and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, or would that be too much Final Fantasy?
I feel like that may be too much Final Fantasy, especially with how they're trying to position 16. And I don't want to say that it feels like Square is already abandoning 16, but I feel like they're putting a lot more. They've shifted their eggs to the 7 Rebirth basket. Maybe for whatever reason, pre-order projections and all that crap.
Maybe even just like uncertainty about like because they committed really hard to making some big changes for Final Fantasy 16.
I guess I was thinking about saving it for the Bombcast, but some folks may hear it here first. I think I had said you would ask me, Grubb, how I feel about Final Fantasy 16, and I said couldn't be bothered with it because it felt absolutely boring.
Yeah.
After checking out the demo, I'm happy to report I was dead wrong.
Yeah.
I'm all in on 16. Sign me up. Inject Clive into my veins. Ben Starr is also hella sick.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Nice gentleman.
Yes. What was it that won you over, other than Ben Starr's charms and good looks?
Great, my camera died again. Fantastic.
We'll roll with it.
The combat system and just how fluid it was to switch in between.
Right.
It really did feel like good parts of God of War 2018, where you would actively be able to switch between the weapons, but here you're switching with the weapon styles. Also, you get a sick dog. I mean, a wolf.
Yes. Yeah. The big dog / small wolf or whatever it is. Yeah, that's. I think that I am ready to believe. I downloaded the demo. I'm gonna give it a shot. I think that having you play as a singular character is going to be like I think a lot of things are going to cause people who are fans of this series anxiety until they're playing the game, and then I bet all of the money that is on the screen, all of the effort that is obviously just apparent in everything in the game, is going to win most people over. And then there's some people who are like, no, this isn't for me. And I think that's fine. I wonder if Square Enix is thinking maybe that group will be way bigger, and that's why they have all these things in reserve. They have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is a little bit more traditional, not necessarily completely more, but it's traditional, at least in terms of appealing to Final Fantasy VII fans. And then having Final Fantasy IX Remake, which will be a turn-based, just classic style Final Fantasy. It's like, well, here's this for you. We know a lot of you love 9. I wonder if they're like, just holding onto those cards, like as an in case of emergency thing, which probably won't be necessary because it just seems like people are really enjoying what they played of Final Fantasy 16 from the demo, at least. I don't know. Do you think that like that's how they'll actually pull out one of these games, and we might actually hear about one of them before the end of the year if they're like worried about Final Fantasy 16?
I guess if they are really worried about it, they may have Final Fantasy 9 remake or remasters tucked away in their pocket, that they would pull that card for the holidays. But I feel like they should firmly believe that 16 can and will be a hit, because I think like 16 is there's something special there. The facial capture facial capture as well, really, really stunning. and something I enjoy in games is when, despite no matter what the setting is, like fantasy, sci-fi, whatever, I just love when characters cuss.
Yes. Yeah, I do too. And I like the tone that they're going for with this game, and they're just like, they're completely leaning into it, and I think it's gonna work. I think it really will actually win most people over.
Yeah. Two last things I'll say about Final Fantasy 16. Ben Starr's performance from the parts that I've played so far in the demo, great. But also the voice actor that they have for Sid or Sidolphus in Final Fantasy 16, one of the best voices. Like, if folks have seen The Green Knight, oh my God. Yeah, so good. So good.
Well, what's his relationship to The Green Knight? I haven't seen that movie, and I keep meaning to put it on, but what is it, just like similar vibes?
It's just like a really how you would imagine a tree to talk is how he sounds.
So, I love those entities, is what he says.
Exactly.
Sure, of course. All right. All right. Last story here on this light day. Knuckles is coming later this year to Paramount Plus. This comes from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. A spin-off series based on Paramount's Sonic the Hedgehog movies is in the works and looks like it is building quite the cast list. As Deadline reports, the new series is set to land on Paramount Plus later this year and will star Idris Elba as the titular character alongside Carrie Ells, Stockard Channing, Christopher Lloyd, Paul Scheer, and Rob Hubel. Who have just been revealed as joining the cast. Character details remain fairly light, but we do know that the Knuckles series follows the titular character, two uses of titular, on a hilarious and action-packed journey of self-discovery as he agrees to train Wade as his protege and teach him the ways of the Echidna warrior. I'm excited about this. Like, they're going all in on this Sonic cinematic universe. Sonic 3 is not that far off, right?
No, I don't believe it is. This is, what a weird cast.
Yes. Yes, it is. I'm like, who's
Channing?
Who is Stockard Channing?
She played Rizzo from the original Grease movie.
Oh my God, that's right. Holy hell, that's right. That's crazy. Okay. And then Christopher Lloyd, sure. Yeah, why not? Like, just give our boy Lloyd some work. Paul Scheer, he's got to be like every minion in the game, right?
I hope so. I hope so. This is how we eventually get Paul Scheer and Jason Mantzoukas onto the Summer Game Fest couch next year.
That's right. Let's fucking go. They can come be on there as like they go from this show to be into Sonic 3 as like support characters.
Please.
Sonic 3 is like deep into the works already, right? They've announced that, and it's like it's coming, I think, right?
I mean, I don't want to I don't want to spoil anything, but there's the ending of Sonic 2 implies that there will be a Sonic 3.
Right.
Man, it's so wild to think that it's the Sonic movies that kind of pulled Jim Carrey out of semi-retirement.
Yep. Is he committed to 3? Do we know?
I'm gonna say that he's gonna see the series out.
Okay. All right. Very cool. He's very good at what he does in those movies, so I'm excited. But there's a little bit of a disagreement in chat in terms of whether that movie is Sonic 3 is coming 2024 or 2025. But in that, December 20th, 2024 says Chaser. So
there we go.
All right. Although a bunch of movies are getting delayed, so give it time. We'll see if it actually ends up happening. All right. I had a poll from yesterday. I'll see if I can bring that up. In the meantime, Jan, what do we have going on the website for the rest of the week, early next week, and all that stuff?
Nothing for the rest of today. We're the dump truck. It's resting. We're gonna continue to rest. Tomorrow, another episode of Game Mess Mornings. Yeah,
that's right. Oh, look at this. I cut that off. Yes, we're gonna do another episode of Game Mess Mornings. We'll wrap up the week. It'll be nice. Everyone will just take it easy. Come in, do a light show. I bet there's not going to be a lot of new news as we are not going to be the only ones recovering from all those announcements. All these game companies sent everybody traveling around the world. That's why like today's so light and things like that. But all right. Do you care that Starfield is 30 frames per second on Xbox Series X? 20% said yes, 52% said no, and 29% said I'm gonna play on PC. I am a little surprised, Jan. 50% just like straight up no.
I'm also surprised. Wow. Oh, okay, sure. I mean, our audience is a small portion of the greater internet audience,
Sure.
so I'm surprised that a lot of folks said no.
Yeah, I think I'm a little. I mean, I guess we're so tapped in. But I would think that like that would mean this audience would be more like, hey, 60 frames per second. I bet that showcase has just won so many people over that they're like, I don't care. And then I bet a lot of people actually don't think about frame rate as much as we do, at least as much as I do. Where I really do care about 60 frames per second. Although even that's waning a little bit as I play more on my Steam Deck at 40 frames per second. 30 frames per second is still rough for me though. I can't remember what trailer we were watching for Ubisoft or whatever, but it stuck out to me like that's 30 frames per second. It's like it was hard for me to see past that. Eventually, obviously, I think it might have been Star Wars, and eventually I was like, actually, this game just looks so amazing. Who cares? I think we're gonna have to get used to it though. Again, Jan, I think that after 3 years of games that were either made for PS4 or made with like in the same vein as a PS4 game, and obviously being able to scale those up to 60 frames per second, no problem on these new consoles, we are going to start getting a lot of games natively built for these consoles and trying to really push this hardware. And a lot of developers are going to end up making that choice of 30 frames per second plus fidelity instead of pulling things back for 60 frames per second. And whatever the case may be in terms of why that choice is made, whether like for Starfield, it's probably like a lot of simulation and physics calculations happening every frame. And they're like, we would rather have a little bit more time to do that instead of forcing 60 frames per second. Or if it's just like, hey, we want this thing just to look better than anything else, and that's what's important to us. And maybe we'll get to a performance mode down the road. I think it's going to be way, way, way more common than I was expecting about a year ago, where it's like, yeah, we're all used to 60 frames per second now. They're not going to go back. I think they're probably going to go back now. Is that something that bothers you, or is it something that you're like okay with?
I think I'm generally okay with it as like an FPS snob when it comes to films and TV.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with that translating to video games. I know that a lot of folks get bothered by it, specifically when it comes to something like motion blur. Motion blur can be very disorienting when it is 30 FPS. But I think depending, and also again, if you are like you've been heavily a PC gamer, this 30 FPS is going to be much more striking than someone that has perhaps just played games on a console. Like I know a lot of my friends may not be able to easily discern the difference between 24, 30, 40, or 60 FPS. 60 for sure, 120 definitely. But like a lot of my friends have grown up playing consoles and have never had the chance to check out a PC game. So I feel like it won't bug them as much. And I think you're dead right that the Starfield presentation was able to win a lot of people over, if not convince people to just bear through it and play the 7 or 8 games that are being shoved into one game.
Yeah. How are you feeling about Starfield? I mean, it was like everyone after that showcase that when we were sitting on the couch, I was like, yes, give it to me. And everyone else was like, that was so overwhelming. It was so much. But like now that you have time to settle on your feelings, are you excited, or does it still seem like an overwhelming experience?
I think I'm slowly like turning around into being more positive on Starfield than I originally was. I think the thing that is still not necessarily intimidating is just knowing the I don't want to say Bethesda stink, but the the Bethesda funk that happens with some games when upon release. So
yes,
I don't know if Starfield is going to be another game to wait and see, because I already am feeling that way with Star Wars Jedi Survivor, where it's like, all right, well, I'm just going to wait till y'all fix that. But Starfield just seems like such a big game. Similar ground swelling as Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like, I don't know if I want to have fear of missing out on it, where like I want to like be there on the ground floor. But then again, it just seems like a game you need to start as soon as possible because there's so much in it. Yeah,
it's going to be this is going to be a year where we have like 2 or maybe more of those games where it's just they're so massive and there's so much to do, and you could play them for hundreds of hours before beating it if you wanted. Like that's going to be tough to I think a lot of people are going to just pick one and and then they'll go with, if they do go with Starfield, it's like, okay, this is going to be my game for the rest of this year, and that's going to feel like, okay, well, if that's the way the relationship I have to have with it, you got to win me over quickly, and we'll see if like those bugs push people away, or if they're mostly, as you know, Phil Spencer said and Matt Booty said on our couch, like, hey, the fewest number of bugs, and people are going to feel it. Like, yeah, I believe that maybe on paper right now it's the fewest number of bugs, but you know, known shippables is one thing. Getting that thing out in the wild is going to be another. And asking that much time from people, and then also asking them to be patient with technical issues. It's a lot to ask from anyone who's not me and a total sucker. So, yeah. Anything else happening this week, Jan? You said we're not doing anything for the rest of today. I think we're going to do UPF tomorrow, right? We're going to do a UPF tomorrow where I, maybe Bakawar, we'll probably get Mike in here. We'll let you take the day off, Jan. We're going to talk about some trailers that we missed. We're going to bring a bunch of trailers from stuff like the PC Game Show, from the Wholesome Direct, things like that. There was like 80 trailers in the Wholesome Direct, which is just nuts. So maybe we'll each bring like 4 or 5, sit down, play them, try to catch them on stuff that we missed. I'm really looking forward to that. And if you guys want to come watch that live and bring some suggestions of your own, please feel free to do that. We'll take recommendations from the chat. If you guys are all yelling about one, we'll watch that one next. It should be nice. It'll be kind of a chill stream to wrap up this week. And then, Game Mess Mornings tomorrow. Me and Lex are going to talk about the news. Looking forward to it. Lexi, look out. Lexi mentioned there was something happening tomorrow, and now I already forgot. But yeah, we'll talk about it. It'll be in the news. All right, Jim. Tomorrow's poll is going to be: are you planning to get an Xbox for Starfield? Your options are yes, I'll just play on PC or cloud. No, I'm not interested in it, and I already have an Xbox. So I'm curious to see where that goes. After kind of getting the we don't care about 30 frames per second, I want to see if people are now like so excited about Starfield that it's moving them in that direction. We'll see.
I thought about that this morning.
Yeah, I was curious, like, because we keep like talking about like, oh, are you going to get an Xbox or not? Like, where are you at with that?
I was heavily considering it. I mean, $350 for the new Xbox Series S with like a terabyte drive doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good console. The Xbox Series S. Could you always use a little bit more, but it says it's going to play Starfield at 1440p and 30 frames per second. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that doesn't sound bad at all. But I also have a PC already. I mean, we just got these NZXT machines.
Yes, we did. I mean, I'm definitely playing it on the PC. I mean, that's what it is. That's what I'm doing. The 4090's in there. Even if it doesn't run natively on Steam Deck, I will just stream it from Steam to my Steam Deck. Like that's the way I'm gonna do it.
I was thinking of like, how am I gonna do that on a Steam Deck? I could just stream it there.
We'll just stream it. Yeah, I think that's gonna be the way to do that for me for the most part. If it runs natively, we'll see, but I doubt it. I bet that's not gonna work.
No. I'm thinking about them shoving that into a Steam Deck. It's like, it's wishful thinking.
Like the 5 frames per second. All right, that poll is up now. You can find that at youtube.com/@giantbomb/community. Just go to the community tab on our YouTube page. Vote for that. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Until then, I want to say, Jan, thank you so much for talking with me about video games today.
It's my favorite way to start a Thursday.
Thank you all for watching. You're the best audience of gaming. And thanks once again for all the kind words about Summer Game Fest and our night shows. It was a shout out again to the whole team. Everyone worked really hard on it. And you're the best audience of gaming. Makes it easy to want to do those shows for you. So until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself. And goodbye.
Mwah.
Mwah.